Hello. Are you interested in Phantasy Star Online? Have you been playing for a little bit? Have you booted it up? Are you confused? Are you worried about stuff? You should be a little bit. Phantasy Star is an amazing MMORPG. For being an 8-year-old game, it's new for us in the West, but it's been around in Japan for 8 years. They've got quite a bit more expansions that are ahead of us. So we have a lot of content coming. I've been doing this game non-stop for like the last 5 days. It's ridiculous. It's good. It's good. So if you like these type of games, and you want a really deep, expansive, ton of things to do console MMO, since usually most console MMOs don't compare to World of Warcraft, Guild War, PC, big boy MMORPGs, and you want to know maybe what you should know before you get started or before you dive in and make a mistake, because you can. Unfortunately, there's a couple things here, 2 big ones that can give you a headache in the long run. But there's also lots of other little things on planning your plan of attack. Maybe you like to make lots of characters. Well, I'll have a couple videos going over things you don't know or things that will make your life easier. Things that I've struggled with for the last 5 days, and I'm a live streamer, and with the help of chat and lots of other people, I've learned a ton of things that I probably wouldn't learn for a long time. But let's get into it. First off, main screen, obviously, A button. You're gonna have to pick a server. If you're new to MMORPGs, you pick a server to play on. In this case, they're called ships. There's 3 currently. If you make a character on ship 3 and your friend makes a character on ship 2, you cannot play together. So you need to coordinate with who you're playing with and make sure you have characters on the same ships. That is a very common mistake. It's been a thing since MMOs came out over a decade ago. But if you're new to the genre, and then if you're like, for instance, Warcraft's been around long enough and they've got a big enough player base where you can now cross-server play. That's not the case in this game and lots of other MMOs. So you pick a server, and that's where you have characters. Now, you can make a character on ship 2, and if you find out later that you have a friend that you've met that has been playing for months and they don't want to make a new character and you're brand new, you can make a new character on ship 3. Okay? You can make characters on all the ships. You just can't take a ship 2 character and move it to a ship 3 character. Okay? Got it? Makes sense? Good. Moving on. I play on ship 2 for any of you guys that are curious. We also have a guild, aka Alliance. If you guys want to join, we'll get into that later. Not in this video. There'll be a link in the description if I have something. But anyways, ship 3, I don't have any characters on, so we'll go ahead and pop over here. Now, there are stat differences between the 4 races. So you have humans, male and female, Numens, castes, and Dumens. They all look different. Dumens are kind of like these devil-horned little girls in tight suit outfits. Same thing with the guys. They have a unicorn horn, so forth. But you can check this out on your own time. Look at them. Castes are robots. Numens are the elves. And humans are humans. Us. Basically, if you are worried about every little detail, and there's not a big difference on the stats in PSO2. There have been in the past. Some people might argue in the comments that there's a big difference. But so basically, your humans are your well-rounded characters. Okay, Numens typically excel in. I'm not going to use the terminology yet, but they excel in magic abilities and ranged abilities. They're not so pointed towards melee combat. They have okay defense. Castes have good defense, and they excel at ranged. So guns and bows. And Dumens are good at ranged, melee, and have low damage. So they're kind of like your glass cannons. So if you really are worried about making a character that is going to, at endgame, have a slight advantage over another class or race, you could pick it that way. Or you could just pick it based on look, which is what most people do in PSO2. In other franchises and previous iterations of Phantasy Star, races played a big deal, but not so much in this one. There is, but there's not. Then there's even a difference between male and female, but who cares? Who cares? So, you create a character. We'll just do human. You can pick 6 classes. There are 9 classes in the game. This is another tip. You're not stuck with your class. You can change classes on the fly. You're never stuck with it. Once you get into the game, you can instantly be like, after your first training prologue mission, be like, I hate this class. You can go to a class counter. I'll show you where it's at, and you can change your class. Also, There's 3 other classes in the game that you can pick from the beginning, just not this screen. So you have to wait until you get into the ship anywhere. There's a different type of ranger, which is your ranged gunner, right? There's a class called gunner. Hunter has another iteration called fighter, and force has another iteration called techer. And then summoner is you control pets. There's a description behind me if you really want to read just a basic rundown. But summoner, you control pets from a distance. Bouncer is quick, agile, melee combat with feet or blades. Braver is katanas or bows. Force is your caster. Ranger is guns. And hunter is kind of like your warrior, your tank. Fighter is like a rogue. And then the gunner that you can't pick from this screen is like a rogue ranger, right? Techer is the advanced version of force, and it's more of a support role. Basic rundown. One more iteration on characters. You can have 3 free character slots per ship. If you want any more characters, you have to buy them. I think they're like $5. $5. You're not buying that slot. So if you buy a 4th character and you don't like that character and you delete it, you bought the character. So you have to buy that 4th character again. You can delete characters 1 through 3 as many times as you like. I haven't deleted any yet, but I was told it takes 24 hours to delete that character. So you can't just make a bunch and delete them all in the same day. Now, if you're familiar with RPGs, then you're probably like me and you just want to click through menus and go do things. I highly recommend spending a little bit of time reading a lot of the first missions you do between like the first 20 levels. It's going to be your first 4 or 5 hours of play. It's going to teach you the menus. It's going to teach you a lot of stuff. I'm going to go over a lot of it in this video. I'm going to have in-depth videos showing a lot more stuff also, so you don't have to necessarily feel stuck reading everything. But the game is definitely overwhelming. The menu system, it's a menu system. And it took us a good day or 2 to become comfortable. I fly through it now. So if you just stick around and play it for a little bit, you'll get the hang of it. The gameplay is amazing. The grind is amazing. It's not prolonged. You're not stuck running around talking to vendors and trying to just turn in quests and pick up quests. It's a nice system. The game is based off of a hub, like what we see here. And there's lots of other places. They've got casinos, they've got a shopping center, they've got a cafe. And then you go down this corridor here to launch your mission. You go queue up at this quest counter in the distance over there. You pick your quests, you go in. So it's a hub, do the quest, come out, collect your rewards. It's very straightforward. It's not an open world like a traditional medieval MMORPG. So you don't have this running around picking up quests. It's nice. Okay, so let's say you want to change your class. This is the center of the hub. You're just going to walk right over here. You'll notice this is here, I'll just give you a better visual. You've got the gateway. You got an area over here, and then you turn around and you've got this little circle corridor. It's not a corridor, but this blue section over here is your class consultant.
What would you like to do?
And you just click on change class, and you have access to all the classes now. Gunner is here, fighter is here, and techer is here. What this means is you're not stuck with your class like I mentioned earlier. You could level a level 3 hunter, and you can change and work on a different guy. Later on, you'll get a subclass that you can pick that'll run in the background that'll gain a small percentage. So as you're playing your main class, you're also leveling up a secondary class. You also gain some perks based off of that other class. Another video. Since we're on this screen, I want to talk about skill trees really quick. This is a definite need to know for new players. This is the only thing in this game that boggles my mind when it comes to free-to-play, pay-to-win, however you want to phrase the term, microtransactions. Your skill tree is this setup here. They do have, if you don't care, they have a recommended setup you can click on and it'll auto-populate for you as a recommended setting. Now, you cannot obtain enough skill points to fill out the entire tree. So, you will want to go through, spend some time looking at your skills and figuring out what you want and what path you want to take. If you screw your skill tree up, you'll have to delete your character, make a new one, or you'll have to buy another skill tree. So you can have, if you play Hunter, you could buy more skill trees with real money to get a new skill tree. A lot of us do this for multiple loadouts. Like Braver uses a bow and katana. So I bought a second skill tree so I could have one designed for the katana play, and I have the other one designed for bow play. Now, that's not necessary. You could hybrid, you could do whatever you want. But if you're super anal and you want to have the best loadout, you're going to want to do a little bit of research to figure out which way you want to go down your tree. It's silly, it's weird. It's the only thing in this game that bothers me is the fact that you cannot reset it. Now, veteran players, I know I'm going to hear this in the comment section, they hand out reset passes, but you have to wait for things like an expansion or things where like the skill trees change, and Sega will hand out skill reset pass for those that are affected. I also heard last night that you might have to have multiple skill trees to be valid for a reset. I don't know. Anyways, you can buy another one. I think you can have up to 10 per class. Could be wrong on that. But you might want to do a little bit of research. I will be covering guides on classes. I'm not going to be getting those done anytime soon. So right now I've got a bunch of information on Braver because that's what I play. If you're going to wait for me to do a video on Tekker, I might not get to that for another month or two because there's a lot of classes. There's a lot of variations. I'd like to get it all mastered, but if I master everything in a month, then why would I keep playing the game, right? So this game has enough content. I'll be busy for a long time. But do some research. There's a lot of stuff out there. Side note, it'll be a little frustrating at first because the game has existed for 8 years in Japan, and they use different terminology. So a lot of the information that's out there has different terminology. But you'll figure it out. There are a bunch of content creators that are covering the Western release, so you can find current information. There's a handful of YouTubers that are putting out a good amount of content. So it's out there. You just have to do a little bit of research first. Just wanted to put that out there because this is a big thing. You can screw your skill tree up. Not easily, but you can if you didn't know you can't reset it. So that's a big tip. All right, so we switched servers. I'm back over on my main character, level 65. Level cap is 75. You'll notice that I have this little black robot thing floating above my head. This is called your Meg. This is another thing to note early on where you can make a mistake. This one isn't stuck behind a paywall per se. You can do things in-game to fix it if you screw it up. You can also buy more of them with real money, but you want to be careful. They're like a Tamagotchi pet or a Pokemon, whatever. You got to feed it, and whatever you feed it gives it different stats. So we'll go into the stat screen here. If you look up on the right-hand side, you've got your melee, your ranged, your tech, your dex, your defenses. Whatever you feed it will level those things up. You'll notice that I have a level 1 on range support. Well, a couple days ago, I had a level 2 range support. I had a level 1 range defense, level 1. I didn't want that, so I had to go and grind a bunch of stuff in-game, and the stuff you have to grind is pretty much late game. So, to reset those levels back down to 0. What happens is, depending on the stats you put on your Meg, it'll evolve differently and get different abilities. You also get a lot of stat from your Meg. So your class, if you're playing a melee class, you wanted typically, the best rule of thumb is to spec melee support. If you're doing ranged, you don't want melee support. You want to do ranged. If you spec 100% into one stat, it becomes a pure blood. There's a lot of different variations. There's pages and pages and pages of information on Megs. I will have an in-depth guide coming soon. Again, aside from no life in this game, I also spend hours a day researching and doing other things for my benefit and so that I can actually make a video and make sense of it. But just keep in mind that you want to find out what kind of stats you want based on your class and then find the right items to feed them. I'll make a guide on that eventually. There's also guides out there, lots of guides. If you completely mess it up and you put like 60 levels into something, 70 levels into another, 23 into another, it's going to take a long time to backtrack those levels. So you can spend $5 and reset your Meg, or you can spend $3 and buy a new Meg and have 2 Megs. Food for thought. So for the absolute most beginner player, those are the biggest tips and things you should know that I could think of. I'll have a second video that covers over some more stuff once you've put maybe a good couple hours into the game. That'll help you out also. I'm not going to throw it all into one video. That'll probably be out tomorrow. But basically, yeah, be careful about your Megs and be careful with your skill trees. Skill trees are the severe ones. But your Meg, It's you can grind it backwards in game. You can buy more megs. You can whatever you want to do. If you want to stay strictly free to play, you can. But $3. How many beer bottles you got to return for $3? Come on. Anyways, I am streaming this pretty much daily. I play a lot of games. Obviously, you can look at my YouTube channel. I have playlists for all the games that I play. You look at my stream history. But we've been no-lifing the crap out of this game. If you want to come by, ask some questions. We were #1 on Twitch last night. There's a ton of people in there that have advice. You got to remember, this game has been out for over 8 years in Japan, and a lot of Western people play the Japanese version with translation, and they have a ton of knowledge. It's not 100% the same game because there are also 3 expansions ahead of us, but there's a tremendous amount of information in chat. A lot of the guys are a little nervous to speak up because some streamers, I guess, get mad because they're being told what to do by JP vets, whatever. No. The knowledge is flowing. You got questions. They got answers. I've got answers. So feel free to swing by twitch.tv/SlyGumbi in the late night hours of 8 p.m. till about 2 a.m. Pacific Standard-ish. It's a standard like 5-6 hour stream. We've been doing like 12-hour streams. But eventually, they'll get back on the schedule when this Corona thing disappears. But again, if you want to swing by, you got questions, you want to hang out, if you want to join our alliance, there's a guild you can join, and there's benefits and things. Come by, ask, we'll get you in there. Ship 2, again, future reference. You can follow me on Twitter for news, updates, and goofiness at SlyGumbi. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye now.